today to perform our national anthem. Our members that doesn't give you goosebumps, I don't know what will. Also, we want to thank our military guys. We've got a great group of people that collect historical military equipment. We appreciate them for coming out and presenting our colors every day here at the Thresheree. And that flyover was a tribute to Ken Pearson's dad, who recently passed away. This tractor that's coming through with the military stuff is actually a tractor that was built by Massey Harris. Massey Harris had a military contract. This tractor was purchased under contract with the military. Massey Harris I-244G. And one long blast of the whistle.
Anybody want to do a 50-50?
Donna Brown, who was our club photographer and queen in 2016. Jim Holman, an avid collector of farm machinery, small engines, and farm toys, served as a board of director for many years. Terry Welch, one of our board members who was in charge of our insurance, a rock and dirt chair, and served on the board for many years. Steve Green, Orville Smith, Rosemarie Bliss Dodd, and most recently, just this past Tuesday, Robert E. Olin, who had been involved with the club from an early age, and his family has brought some of Bob's tractors through the parade today. So at this time, I would ask you to please join me in a moment of silence, followed by a whistle blast to honor our deceased members. Thank you guys, we know they can hear you. Our memorial engine is a 1917 80-horse case owned by the Hess family out of Frankville, Wisconsin. Bob collected and restored International and Oliver tractors, and his daughter Elizabeth Smith and son Eric are members of the RockRiver Thresheree and are leading the tribute ahead of the other tractor. Thank you guys. RockRiver Thresheree Fire Department. This is our Chevrolet fire truck that was donated to the RockRiver Thresheree. Van Loffel donated to the Thresheree. He was always our water guy. He would run around in this fire truck and make sure the grounds were damp. They didn't have to worry. He kind of controlled the dust for us. It was owned by the RockRiver Thresheree, and Luther Johnson's doing the driving today. This year is no different. This year we're featured equipment by the Ford company, the Ford Tractor Company, the Ford Motor Company, design. Well, at some point in time, there was a fallout between the two of them, and Harry Ferguson left and went and started his own tractor company, building tractors very similar to this. But this is a 1944 a Ford Ferguson 2N. Ronnie Suter is the owner. This is the famous Ford 8N. Ford sold several hundreds of thousands of the Ford 8N. These are very popular tractors. They were small and out of Mills, Wisconsin. This was built in 1956. You'll see that 3-point hitch on the back. And you'll see today there's several different attachments that can be purchased to utilize that 3-point hitch. Next we have Steve Agnew out of Milton, Wisconsin. Steve's on his Ford 8N, but if you'll notice, this one has a flathead V8 engine in it. Take that Ford flathead V8 engine out of your truck and repower your Ford 8N tractor. He's got a manure loader on the back, but again, it's using that 3-point hitch design. Golden Jubilee coming back, the 1953 Ford Golden Jubilee. This was built as the 50th anniversary edition for the Ford company. Adam Aiden doing the driving out of Edgerton, Wisconsin. Again, this is the next step up from the Model 8N. This has also got that 3-point hitch on the back. Built 1964. Got a small little diesel engine there. Kind of a unique little Ford utility tractor. Next we have another Ford 8N. This one's also got the conversion kit, the flathead V8 in it. Joe Marston out of Stoughton, Wisconsin is the owner. He's got himself a 3-point steel coat elevator, flat digger, some farmers call it grader. It's a 3-point digger made by the Dearborn Company for the Ford tractor. Next we have a whole order of the Joe Marston collection out of Stoughton, Wisconsin. That's kind of what that tractor was set up to do. Here we have the Golden Jubilee. This one has got stock 4-cylinder gasoline engine in it. This one's built 1953. That was that 50th anniversary of the Ford tractor. This is owned by Dale Marston out of Stoughton, Wisconsin. a 1953. This is a high crop. If you'll notice, this tractor sits a little bit higher. It's got custom rims on the back to give that tractor a taller stance to go through the fields to work on smaller vegetables. So this one has got the front-mounted cultivators on it. You don't see many of the tractors with both the front and the rear. Again, those implements were made by the Dearborn Company for Ford. Next, we've got a Ford Jubilee. This was a 1953. This one's got a straight six-cylinder engine in it. This is also part of the Dale Martin collection out of Stoughton, Wisconsin. And on the back, they've got a three-point disc plow. So this is a little different version of the typical moldboard plow that a lot of people are used to seeing, where the plow would go in the ground and actually roll the ground over. This is what you call a disc plow. Next, we have a Ford, a Model 3000, built 1966. It's got the Fastco trip motor on it. Alexander Seafarth is the owner out of Janesville, Wisconsin. Another Golden Jubilee coming through. This one's set up, it's got the loader attachment on it. That yellow frame on there is for the quick catch loader. He can drive right into the loader, put a couple pins in it, and he's ready to go. It's still 1953. Dylan out of Orfordville is the owner, and he's got a three-point rear blade to it. If you can angle that blade for grading your driveway or the gravel or whatever you need. Next we have a Ford 3000 tractor. Ford was very popular with their small little utility tractors with the three-point hinge. This one's got the diesel engine in it. Used for some utility work. I've been asked if we could find Tim Casey. Tim Casey, if you can hear me on the ground, if you could please be by the toilet at the top of the marine bowl, your party's looking for you. It's just offset. The reason for that was that way you could mount your cultivators on there, you could travel down your row crop and keep an eye on your cultivators and not have to worry about plowing over your corn or your vegetables. This way there was no obstructed view from the engine and transmission on this tractor. Next we have a Harlan Airport out of Union Grove, Wisconsin. And this has got a Ford 306 engine in it. So that's the connection to the Ford feature this year. This is an airport truck with a Ford engine in it. No, this is not a giant anteater. This is a two-row picker mounted on a Ford tractor. Now this is the way the corn was harvested back in the day. You would travel down your road and would actually snap the ear of corn off. You would also husk the corn, take the husks off the corn, and the cob corn on the cob yet would come up that elevator and be dropped out into the wagon. This is a Ford 961. Dan Hughes is the owner and driver. Here we have Dan and I coming through. This is a Case 400 gas. These are built for Racine, Wisconsin, and Dan's pulling the wagon with the advertisement for the annual Tractor Drive and Ride. Next Sunday, September 10th at 8 o'clock a.m. at the Orfordville Legion. Seating down after the parade. There's also some phone numbers on there, but they do a benefit tractor ride, and all the proceeds go to support one of our local families who has a son that's battling cancer at this time. It's called the Universal engine. This is the biggest of the Universal line. This is a 2590, or what we call a 25-horse Universal. This is one of 9 Universal, 25 Universals known to exist. This engine spent a large portion of its life over in Franklin, Wisconsin, and sat there for a number of years, and it was bought by a collector over in Michigan. That collector in Michigan had it for a while, and then he sold it to a collector down owned by the Malshers out of Pell Lake, Wisconsin. And Reese is up there steering for him. Next we have a Minneapolis engine coming through next. Now there are two things you need with a steam engine. You need a constant supply of fuel, whether it would be wood or coal, or in some cases it was straw. And you would also need a constant supply of water. The problem was you didn't have a lot of places to store the water, so Minneapolis utilized this head tank design. That tank on the front there is full of water. It's also got a water tank in the back. This is a 20 horsepower Minneapolis. It's owned by Clayton Hendrickson. Right here at Thresheree Park. Jack and Aaron are operating the engine today. This is about a 75 horsepower Case engine. This is a 1912 75 horsepower steam engine. This engine is owned by former owner and one time owned by John Malarkey. We was now under the watchful eye of Nathan Hayes is operating it today. It's a 1912 75 horsepower steam engine. Nathan, your smoke box door is open, just an FYI. Passed away. But we're happy to say that the engine is now back in the hands of the family. The 1923 65 horsepower Chase engine. And riding on the back of the engine in the white engineer's hat is Mr. Pete Burnell. Pete Burnell holds member number 2 of the RockRiver Thresheree. Pete is the only surviving member of the original group that started the RockRiver Thresheree 60-some years ago. Pete is still active and still on our board of directors. Like I said earlier, we will have members somewhere in the 800s, but Pete is member number 2 here at the RockRiver Thresheree. Between the Advanced Thresher Company and the M. Rumley Company. This is I said it's an advanced engine. This is what we call a side mount engine. The axles are actually mounted to small stump shafts mounted to the side of the boiler. The case engine that went through prior to it is what we call a rear mount engine. There's long axle shafts that are actually mounted behind the boiler. This is a 1908 22 horsepower advanced engine owned and operated by Dennis Seaman out of Cottage Grove, Wisconsin. Now that area over in Michigan was very popular for steam engine manufacturers. We talked about the Advanced Company building their engines in Battle Creek, Michigan, but there was also the Nichols and Shepherd Company also building engines designed for longevity. Well, these boilers have to be inspected annually by the state of Wisconsin. And a few years ago, actually more than that, several years ago, this engine had a brand new boiler built for it, so it'll be around for another 100 years. This is a 20-horse Nichols and Shepherd, owned by Henry Gilbertson, and John Miller is doing the driving today. Next we have a Ted Gonerman engine coming through. Now if you go to a show over in Indiana or Ohio or maybe up into Michigan a little bit, you'll see a lot of Ted Gonerman engines. But here in Wisconsin, these are pretty rare. Next up we have a 1950, this is a Case 24. These are the tractors that you see coming into the freight bottleneck that put the steam engine out of business. Now at the same time that this tractor was being built, in another part of the factory, Case was still building steam engines. So a lot of these wheels and stuff were interchangeable between the gas tractors and the steam engine. This is a 1950, it's a 24, one-cylinder pointing towards the race unit, and one-cylinder pointing back in the cab. That exhaust goes out the stack, that radiator is open on the side and sucks the air and cools that tractor. This tractor was formerly part of the George Menke collection out of Davis Junction, Illinois, and it's now owned by Scott Stamstead. Connor Esch is doing the driving along with his fiancée, Adriana DeYoung. Next we got an excellent example of an original Rumley oil pull. Now it used to be not that long ago the trend in collecting with the tractor and restoring the better than good condition. And the trend has kind of changed a little bit. Now that if you can find excellent original condition tractors, you are encouraged to keep it that way because those tractors can only be original once. This is a 2040 oil pull. It's a Model G. It's owned by Jamie Stevenson out of Whitewater, Wisconsin, and R.J. Stevenson doing the driving. Next we have the forerunner of the Rumley line. This is a Model F. Now the G was a 2-cylinder oil pull that laid horizontal there. This is a single cylinder. This is the Model F, a 1960 1530, 15 horsepower on the drawbar, 30 horsepower on the belt. Headshot is the owner out of Rockford, Illinois, and that one single cylinder is just over 900 cubic inches of displacement. Now they just took this engine off the sawmill and took his turn this afternoon on the sawmill and did a great job sawing boards for us up on the sawmill. Next we have another tractor out of the Headshot collection. This is a cross-motor tuber. This is a Light 4, is the model. You notice that engine just crossways in the frame there. The engineers at this time wanted the belt cord to run right off the crankshaft of these engines. They didn't want to have to turn that power up the crankshaft 90 degrees to a pulley. So a lot of the early tractors were of the cross-motor design. This is right there as part of the shop collection. Next we've got one of our big beasts coming through. The Bush Farms out of Belvedere, Illinois are the owners of our big beast. This is the raffle tickets to support our Eagle Restoration Project. So if you see them, please contribute and you stand to win part of the pot. Simple engine, the simple cylinder. Single cylinder simple is what we've seen so far. Now that means they only use the steam one time, so it's expected as a power stroke both directions. So there's steam that gets let in on each side of the piston, so it pushes it forward, pushes it backwards. On a simple engine, the steam is only used one time before it's exhausted out the stack. Now Port Huron utilized this compound design. You notice on my side there appears to be what looks like two cylinders. It's actually two pistons on one piston rod with one crank rod. So what they do is they use the steam first in the high pressure cylinder and then it's exhausted into the low pressure cylinder before it's exhausted out the stack. This is a Port Huron engine. If you'll notice the rear wheels are cast. Those are cast in one piece. It's owned and operated by Aaron Studebaker today. Now the hobby of collecting garden tractors has grown significantly over the last few years. A lot of the big tractor manufacturers that produce the big tractors also produce complete lines of garden tractors. And John Deere was a great way to get the kids in the hobby that don't take up a lot of room in the shed. They're easy to haul around. Parts are relatively affordable, so it's a great way to get the kids involved in the hobby. Next we have a John Deere, it's a model 214. International was no different. They had the Cub Cadet line of tractors. In fact, I believe you can still go to some of your local hardware stores or Farm and Fleet or something like that and still buy a Cub Cadet garden tractor. This is a 1962 7 horsepower Noah Wellness out of Edgerton, Wisconsin is the owner. Next we have Cal Wellness out of Edgerton, Wisconsin on the 1966 Model 71 Cub Cadet. Got himself a set of jewels and some wheel weights on there, pulling a set of happy breed riders. You guys are going to need a canopy next year, I'm telling you, this is a pretty sweet deal. Next we have a 1947. This is a Cushman ice cream cart. The owner is Steve Clausen out of Stoughton, Wisconsin. So this is, you see the ice cream truck that shows up in the subdivision. This is how it was done back in the late 1940s. A Cushman scooter with an ice cream cooler on the front. Next we have a couple of our tractors from the Heggie collection. This first one is a 1950 Economy, owned by the Heggies out of Rockton, Illinois. 1977, a Jim Dandy Economy, also part of the Heggie collection out of Rockton, Illinois. Next we have one of our, this is what we call a repowered Alice Chalmers WD. This tractor was built 1952 as an Alice Chalmers WD, and it's been repowered with a Chevrolet 283 cubic inch V8 engine in it. Song Enterprises out of Abilene, Wisconsin owns this tractor. Next we've got a farm model of 1950. Don and Mary Russell are the owners out of Janesville. Farmall F12 coming through next. You can always tell the F12. The F12, the steering shaft runs parallel to the hood. The Model F14, they raised it up a little bit so it was a little bit more comfortable for the operator to steer. This is a 1937 F12. This year, the Farmall line is celebrating 100 years. In 1923, they came out with the Farmall Regular. The case company is celebrating 100 years of the Farmall tractor this year, so you'll see some of that around. Next we have a 1953 John Deere Model 50. Now, 100, pretty close. Out of St. Paul, Minnesota, the owner, and that's got a farmhand motor on it. There was an engineer that had an extra cup of coffee that morning, I think. I don't know how the heck he came up with that design, but it was a motor that got used and was sold, and a lot of people apparently bought it. Next we have our small John Deere tractor, but this is the small one out of this series. This is a John Deere Model 40, a 1953 model. Sharon Rig out of Oregon, Wisconsin is the driver. Next up from the 40 is the John Deere Model 50. This was built 1953, Rich Rig out of Oregon, Wisconsin is the owner. So the 40 utilized an upright two-cylinder engine. All of these other tractors utilize the horizontal two-cylinder engine, and it lays down there in the frame. And they utilize that horizontal two-cylinder for many, many years. Next up we have the John Deere Model 60. This is the next step up from the 50. This is the Model 60. This was also built 1953. Rich Rig out of Oregon is the owner. Next we have a John Deere Model 70. This one's kind of unique. This one's got the single front wheel on it. You don't see a lot of them with the single front. And this one is also an LP motor. That big round tank on there is an LP tank. This tractor runs off the same LP gas as your gas grill at home. This one was built 1956. The owner and driver is Rich Rig out of Oregon, Wisconsin. Now you can get the 70 in a couple different versions. That was the LP. This is the diesel. You can also get it in the gas version. This is a 1955 70 diesel. The owner is Warren Rig out of Evansville, Wisconsin. Now this diesel engine has got a small little gasoline engine in there that you get started first. You get that gasoline engine spin over, and the exhaust from the gasoline engine warms the cylinders on that diesel, and then you can start that big diesel. Next we have Warren Rig driving a John Deere Model 80 Rig out of Oregon, Wisconsin. Next we have a John Deere Model 80. This is what we call the style, also from the Rig Collection. Rich Rig is the owner out of Oregon, Wisconsin. Now John Deere utilized that same two-cylinder design, like I said, for many, many years until the 1960s when they came out with what was called the new generation of John Deere tractors. This is one of those new generation tractors. This is a John Deere Model 2010. Again, this looks kind of unique. It's got that single front wheel on it and the big LP tank on it. The owner is Rich Rig out of Oregon, Wisconsin. Next we have what started out as a Ford Model 8. It's been turned into a Unibug, and now it's the Queen's Uber. Next we have an Alice Chalmers. Alice Chalmers built these tractors up in West Allis, Wisconsin. In fact, just east of where the current Wisconsin State Fair Park is. This is a 1959 E17. Now kind of unique. You don't see a lot of the E17s with the narrow front on it. This one is owned by Nick Pop and Alex Werner out of Union Grove, Wisconsin. that Ford was trying to compete with. This is a Farmwell Cub. If you notice, the operator sits offset. These are very popular with vegetable farmers, and they can cultivate their vegetables, keep an eye on their cultivators, and not have to worry about damaging any of their crops. Next, we've got the... Now, you can get this tractor, again, this one was also available in a couple different models. You can get the WK40, which was the kerosene model. You can get the strict W40, which was the gasoline model, or you can get the WD40, which was the diesel model. This is the kerosene model of that W40, and that's Eric Olin doing the driving today. Next we have a Massey here, the model 44. This one was built in 1947. You can always tell the... So in 1947, Massey Harris painted their engines black. It's the only year they did that, and it was shown to celebrate the 100th anniversary of the Massey Harris Tractor Company. Bill and Donna Murphy out of Woodville, Wisconsin are the owners, and he also gave me a flyer advertising that annual tractor drive to benefit the family with a small son out and battling cancer. Next we've got a Massey Harris, this is a 44 row crop, built 1948. Bill and Donna Murphy out of Woodville, Wisconsin are the owners. Next we have the big John Deere 2-cylinder out of this series. There was the B, the A, and the G. This is the Model C. This is owned and operated by Rich out of Powers Lake, Wisconsin. Next we have our group from the Drive Your First Tractor. If you've never had the opportunity to drive a tractor, stop it out shooting folks on your way out this afternoon. And to have the opportunity to drive a tractor if you've never done it before. But this is a John Deere Model B. If you notice, they've got big platforms on the back there, so that way a trained operator can do it at all times. But if you've never driven a tractor, here's your opportunity to stop out and drive a tractor here at the RockRiver Thresheree. So this is the tractor that was replaced the Model 80. This is a 1957 John Deere Model 820 diesel. George Ray got it at the Wisconsin dealer. Next we have an Oliver, a 1655 diesel coming through. Next we have a Cub Cadet, a model 125. This one's got the hydrostatic drive on it, not geared transmission. There's a lever there, you pull it, go forward, you pull it backward, you go backward. John Deere Model 214 coming through next with a John Deere rotary mower on the bottom. This one was sold to by Mike Steady Implement. 1975, Montgomery Ward, Noah Riley out of Edmonton, Wisconsin. You can order this tractor out of the Montgomery Ward catalog. People here that collect historical construction equipment. They're up on the north side of the mountain. It's a Caterpillar 955 with the roller on the front. Everybody collects something, all the things that we are when we come from. But like I said, we've got a great group of people that collect construction equipment. This one is totally hard. Next we got a John Deere Model 800. Longer than any other tractor. Just pulling a John Deere bottom plow. Now that plow, what you would do is you would get to the furrow, you would pull that rope, the plow would go down to the ground, turn the soil over, when you got to the end, you would pull that rope, and the plow would come out of the ground. 1951 John Deere Model B coming through. Next we've got a case of Model 1070, built 1972, driver and owner. We have a winner in our 50-50 raffle. This is winner over wins $100. If you just come down here, Bill will take care of you. This is about 80 horsepower. This is a gas version. You don't see a lot of 806 gases. Owned by Ryan Fox out of Dewey, Illinois. We have another winner at $100. 937887. Come on down here and see Bill and get yourself $100. And our last picture was a free area. 1947, a John Deere Model B. This is what we call the style version of a John Deere Model B. Well, 1938, the tractor industry, very much to keep up with the automobile industry, kind of streamlined or dressed them up a little bit more with sheet metal. That's what we call the style version of the John Deere Model B. Here we have an excellent example of the John Deere Model B. Now, the John Deere B has plenty of power, but didn't always have enough weight to it. So at one point in time in history, the farmer took some old steel wheels. Next we have a 12-month model of a original built 1941. The owner is Harold Fly out of Beloit, Wisconsin. Harold pulling a pre-bottom international plow. Yeah, that's another one of those examples where you're pulling to the furrow, pull the rope, and plow it down. Got a rock sits on it. Notice that this has a hook down there. If you were to hit a rock with the plow, trips that into the power of the tractor. Next we have an Oliver Hartmar. This is a model 2844, built 1935. The owner is Corey and Cameron Noble out of Elkhorn, Wisconsin. It was restored by Grandpa Jersey. Now this was built just as that transition from the Hartmar line to the Oliver line. Eric is our chairman of the RockRiver Committee back there, and he's operating a Cat 955 with a loader, part of the Al Smith collection. Al Smith was a member who passed away a number of years ago, and there's a lot of his equipment is still here around the ground. He's here permanently at the grill tree. This is a Caterpillar Model T8. Now on my side, you'll see a small little gasoline engine there, kind of mounted to the side of that big diesel. And what they do is they start that little gasoline engine, and they get that gasoline engine spinning. And that is what boosts the big diesel engine to turn that diesel. Now this one is big boost on the back. Other than just with the long wheel to do that stuff, it's got big heavy voltage on the back. Got a John Deere Model 8 built 1946. Model 8 is kind of unique. The Model 8 is the only tractor that John Deere built with a belt pulley runs the opposite direction of the flywheel. The reason being the belt pulley runs off the camshaft on the John Deere Model 8 versus the crankshaft. The current owner is Mike Mickelson. Next we have Gary Olson. So we saw that WK40 go through a little bit earlier. This is the WC40. This is the diesel version of the tractor. This was owned by Gary Olson and being shown in memory of Al Law. John Deere Model L coming through, built 1939. He's actually out of Milton, Wisconsin is the owner. John Deere Bill's doing the driving today. Next we got a John Deere Model B, built 1950. The owner is Eugene Aiken out of Broadhead, Wisconsin. Next we have a 1955 John Deere Model 70 on LNG gas. This tractor was able to come and passed away a few years ago, but the tractor is still here and it's known in their honor. Built 1961. is out of Ford of 1947. He had Ford, Leo Haneska and family out of Milton, Wisconsin are the owners. And he is pulling international performance. Next we have a demonstrator built in 1950. So what International Harvester did in 1950 is all of their models, the dealers could order them as a demonstrator tractor. They were painted white. Now a lot of these tractors that went back to the dealer, they were painted red because they were easier to sell to the farmers. Well, through collecting, we kind of found out a little bit more history on a lot of these white demonstrator tractors have been discovered. The 1950 demonstrator Cub, owned by the Haneska family out of Milton, Wisconsin. Next we have a 1960, this is a Cub from Wisconsin. So this was the same as the big farmall Cub, it just was set lower to the ground. A lot of these were used, they would have a finishing mower mounted underneath, and they would use these to cut large estates or cemeteries or churches, and that kind of stuff. That's what those tractors were used for. Wisconsin, and he is pulling an International Harvester potato digger. Now potatoes are grown, for those that don't know, are grown underground. It takes all the dirt off the potatoes, and the potatoes come out the back and lay on top of the ground. So that contraption there is for digging potatoes. Next we have Judy White out of Freeport, Illinois. Judy's operating here on the ground, and Judy will celebrate her 81st birthday coming up here in just a few days. Next we have a cross-motor case coming through. Now we talked about that cross-motor Huber earlier on in the frame. Again, the engineers at the time, this is owned by Brandon, right? Brandon White, out of Freeport, Illinois, there you go. Cross-motor case. the owner out of Edgerton, Wisconsin. Cub lowboys, these tractors were very popular with churches, cemeteries, golf courses, and stuff like that for mowing grass. Next we have an Alice Jumper. This is a WC coming through next. Kind of unique, it's got a adjustable wide front end on it, but if you notice the narrow front pedestal is still there, and that's what controls the wide front. Built 1939, Dustin Lean out of Edgerton, Wisconsin is the owner. WC coming through next. This is what we call the style version of the Alice WC. This was built 1947. Brighton Clark out of Reedsburg is the owner. Again, it's a little bit more style. The unstyled WC is the radiator with the exposed out front. Again, it just kind of keeps up with the automobile industry, just to kind of streamline those tractors and make them look a little bit more aggressive. Next we have a John Deere Model B coming through. Again, they utilize the same two-cylinder engine for many, many years. The Model B goes through to the 841. Stephen G. Burnett are the owners out of Janesville, Wisconsin. Our tractor in tow is a 1947 Oliver 60, rated about 11 3/4 horsepower, Vanderbilt out of Milton, Wisconsin, the owner. Next we have Michael Dix on it. We have a great example of a 1941 Farmall Model B. Now the Model B was the same engine and transmission as the Model A. The only difference is the B had a narrow front end and the rear end was set out a little bit wider. Great example again, it's one of those original tractors that we talked about a little bit earlier. Next we have a 1952 Alice Chalmers WD. The owner is Michael Dix out of Woodville, Wisconsin. Here is the owner, built 1960. A big thank you to Chris Haynes. He was one of our winners of our 50/50. Next we have a Farmall 1950 Super C owned by the McConville family out of Evansville. Farmall Cub. Yeah, this has got the rotary mower on it. Oh, he still does some mowing around the place. The McConville family out of Evansville and Janesville own this tractor. 1942 Farmall B coming through. Still 1949, Kelvin Johnson, being shown in memory of Grandpa. So what they did is order the engines, they ordered the rear ends, and they built these tractors. After World War II, a lot of tractor manufacturers wanted to get into the gaming. try to manufacture tractors. They built a few of these that wasn't very successful. Couldn't stay in business for very long, but there are a few of these tractors that are pretty unique. You don't see many of these hot Model Ds. This range tractor out of that D series. This one's got a full set of cultivators on it. It's kind of nice to see these tractors with the implements attached to them. Alice Chalmers D13, built in West Allis, Wisconsin. Next we have a Farmall regular coming through. I mentioned earlier that Farmall Case is really pushing this 100th anniversary of the Farmall tractor. In 1923, Farmall came out with the Farmall regular. You can always tell the regulars because the gears are exposed, the steering gears out front. 1930, Jacob Brunk owns it. This is one of the tractors from the Jim Holman collection. Jim was one of our members that recently passed away since last year's show, and this was part of Jim's collection. Changed hands, but it's still here at the show, and we appreciate him for being here. Great run in Farmall regular. Next we have a F30 W30. This was built 1936. The owner is Alan Grandma out of Cambridge, Wisconsin. Company Try to be part of that market. Next we have a runway oil pull. This is a super model from 1948. Jim Hoffman out of Metairie, Illinois is the owner. Today is a 1947 Farmall A owned by Archie J. Morton out of Janesville, Wisconsin. Up next, we have a 1942 Farmall Model B. The Tennessee is kind of in order here. They do a nice job of bringing these through. This is a Model B, and it's the same engine and transmission as the Model A. The difference is the narrow front end and the wide rear end. This one was purchased by N.J. Little, now part of the Archie J. Morton collection out of Janesville, Wisconsin. Next, we've got the 1949 Farmall C. This is the next size up from the A and the B. Ashley Morton out of Janesville is the owner. Farmall 8 coming through next. This one's built 1951. This tractor was purchased new by Clifford Morton and is now owned by the John C. Morton family out of Janesville, Wisconsin. Next up from the H is the M, 1941 Model M, also part of the Archie J. Morton collection out of Janesville, Wisconsin. So just like it was in the early Farmalls Internationals, we saw the W30, which was the standard version of the F30. Well, the W series continued on into this series. So this is the McCormick Farmall W4. This is the same engine transmission that's in the Farmall 8. Archie J. Morton out of Janesville, Wisconsin is the owner. Next up from the W4 is the W5. This one was purchased new by Bob Schluter and is now owned by Archie J. Morton out of Janesville, Wisconsin. The big tractor out of that series was the W9, and here we have a great example of a 1950 McCormick W9. The owner is Alex Morton out of Janesville, Wisconsin. Clipboards are up on the table by the registration booth. You can behind the operator, and that way you can use this tractor to cultivate your vegetables. We have some vegetable farmers over near me that use Alice Hellman seeds for cultivating their vegetables. Here we've got a Farmall 8 Bob Bates Senior out of Edgerton, and this has been repowered with a V6 engine. Farmall Model A, owned and restored by Brad Wetzel out of Phoenixville, Wisconsin. John Deere Model B, 706 gas. You see a lot of 706 diesels, not a lot of gas ones. This one's built 1964. Bob Bates Senior out of Edgerton, Wisconsin is the owner. Coming through, this one's got the adjustable wide front end on it. Built 1958. The owner is Bob Bates out of Edgerton, Wisconsin. Next, we've got a Farmall M coming through that's set up for tractor pulling. If you'll notice all the wings that are hanging on it for next year's date, but it's typically the Saturday after the 4th of July. Another Farmall M built 1946. Dalen Dorfer out of Verona, Wisconsin is the owner. Next to the sawmill. We had this on the horsepower machine earlier today, and I believe Judy told me it's just close to 50 horsepower. Next we've got another Alice Hellman a riding this thing. There's a lot of stuff for the kids to do over there. This one is repowered with a John Deere 80 horsepower diesel engine, but it's part of the engine collection. Next we have a Minneapolis Moline tractor. I believe this is the only Minneapolis Moline I think we've seen today. This is a Model R. It was donated to the RockRiver Thresheree by Don Stewart, was past purchased new by his father, and many thanks to the Stewart family for their generous donation of this tractor to the RockRiver Thresheree. Don also doing the driving. Don's one of our directors. He's also one of our parade marshals up on the hill that gets everything through the parade. Again, I mentioned a little bit earlier about how this evening after the show at 5 o'clock, we're going to have some tractor pulls over on the sled, or over on the track. These are the guys from Community Engine Tractor Pullers. They do engine